Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Monday, September 3. Education Minister Senator Ruel Reid says there was a smooth start to the traffic flow management for schools in the corporate area today. The minister was speaking this morning at Wolmer's Boys School, the first stop on a readiness tour of schools in Region 1.
I believe that the police and the National Works Agency, the traffic management authority have really gone out of their way to make sure that they have put in place traffic measures.
Minister Reid used the opportunity to call on all stakeholders to work together to make the 2018-2019 academic year a success.
Let us just continue to partner in education. Education, in fact, is that great vehicle that we all need for the growth and development of our country. So I'm again encouraging all our partners, let us work together to make this great education venture a success.
Meanwhile, this morning saw the police increasing their presence in major towns in western Jamaica in an effort to deal with the increased traffic that was anticipated with student return to the classroom. Head of Area 1, which covers Trelawney, St. James, Hanover and Westmoreland, Assistant Commissioner of Police Donovan Graham, says administrative functions are being scaled back in the mornings so additional police officers can be deployed to man busy intersections in major towns. He says special attention will be paid to bus parks and students will be properly monitored to ensure their safety and security throughout the academic year. Government has meanwhile committed $380 million to expand the rural school bus transportation program this year. He says the program, which was piloted last year at a cost of $200 million, will now be expanded to the remaining 12 parishes outside the corporate area.
Because in corporate area with JUTC, they have highly subsidized transportation. The big challenges in the rural areas where children have to travel far distances, both for primary and more so secondary school, we are much farther away from home. So the average parent in many of these rural areas have to find $500 a day just for transportation for each child. That is prohibitive.
The program is being expanded with support from the International Monetary Fund and the Ministries of Finance and Labor and Social Security. In other education news, the Portfolio Minister says legislative amendments may be put in place to prevent schools from breaching government's guidelines on non-mandatory fees.
Where we have seen breaches, we have called in quite privately the boards and principals and we asked them to reverse certain decisions. We have looked at some of their literature in terms of communication and where we think that they haven't communicated properly to the stakeholders. In fact, we have crafted a sample letter which the narrative says that you're asking for a contribution and not a mandatory payment.
Senator Reid insists that schools are adequately funded, pointing out that the ministry has even expanded its support at the secondary level by allocating $887 million to cover the cost of temporary and other support staff.
There is 1,007 cooks across the system that we are now paying for at a cost of $323.1 million. Therefore, there's no need to ask parents for any contribution. We're paying the utilities. We're allocating between $120 for grades, for infant grades 1 to 3, and $150 above grade 3.
The minister adds that 18 temporary deans of disciplines will be provided to schools and says grants have already been provided to cover STEM and TVET programs, curriculum support, and other special requests. He says guidelines on mandatory fees have already been sent to schools and administrators can apply to the Ministry for assistance with critical repairs or expansion. Meanwhile, it was revealed yesterday that the Education Ministry has called a meeting with private schools for this Wednesday to facilitate and address any queries on critical matters. The meeting is to be held at the Jamaica College Auditorium. It will address, among other things, the implementation of the National Standards Curriculum, the Primary Exit Profile, the K-13 strategy, and safety and security in schools. The ministry will also use the session to distribute curriculum documents to each school. Residents of Montpelier, Mafuta, and Normandy in St. James should have an easier time accessing their communities following recent upgrading of the Blue Hole roadway. Upgrading of the roadway which links these areas was part of a $12 million project that included drainage improvement work in the Blue Hole community. The National Works Agency NWA started the project in July and completed works in mid-August. Community Relations Officer of the NWA's Western Region, Janelle Ricketts, says this project is one of 6 that have been targeted under the agency's island-wide $1.35 billion local rehabilitation and drainage improvement program. Nearly $50 million has been devoted to this effort in St. James. The projects are designed to mitigate future flooding and repair roadways and drainage structures that were damaged by recent flood rains. And finally, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says going forward, the Jamaica Moves initiative will be focusing more on diet and nutrition. The minister says this will be done in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture to bring more awareness to dietary practices and promote the consumption of local products.
We are targeting the average Jamaican, the average citizen, and we must formulate the approach in that respect. Most people, though, see us more as a physical activity program, but we are so much more than that. We are also about diet. And one of the things I want to do this year, as we move the program further, is to focus more heavily on diet, balanced diet.
Minister Tufton was speaking during a recent nutrition dietetics technical discussion. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.